Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Tomas, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to
How
be
are?
here.
All right. So, you know, I don't know how long we were been talking. To go back to last summer or so when we first started having these conversations, or spring, and no one could expect someone to pick the month of crisis beginning to the fuse being lit. But you were talking April for a
Yep.
long time. Here we are.
Yep.
Happy spring. So if you want to share your screen, we could talk about one of the most favorite bird, my favorite bird, the black swan. No, actually, the eagle is my favorite bird. But
Someone, someone
yeah,
else, someone else is sharing the screen. I can't do it now.
okay. I think Blake is sharing the screen. There you go.
Oh,
Now
okay.
you can.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're at it.
So, are you still suspecting the Italian banking system to be ground zero for this? It's just one of the possible scenarios, right?
This one. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
2021, the year of the black
Yeah.
swans.
Well, yeah. It's yeah. Well, in Europe, well, how would I put it? We now consider that the Italian banking sector is one of the main like crisis points, but there are actually so many now all over the world that it's really difficult to put any finger on where it could start, because now we are also considering that it may be a financial shock in the US, or a political shock in the US or in Europe, or a banking crisis here. So there are several options going
Let
forward.
me ask you about an option I just heard about. Read about that the Chinese going to a digital yuan,
Yep.
and even Biden made a comment that it could destabilize the financial system. Could that be one of them?
Yeah, that could be one of them. For
Okay.
sure, it's really difficult to get any decent like prospects of what is the Bank of People's Bank of China actually trying to do. It's very like a I don't know. It's at first it sounds rather dystopian in a sense that they are really looking forward to kind of issuing a loosening the anonymity in all transactions would truly mean that you would have a kind of dystopian Orwellian economy or society. But then they are giving
Well, they already do, don't they?
yeah, in a sense, but yeah, they do. But that would be the ultimate one.
Okay.
Then you could be,
It could be worse than concentration camps in part of their.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But this would mean that,
Okay.
for example, if they would, the People's Bank of China with the digital yuan would take over the whole like financial system, it would mean, for example, that you would jailwalk, and you would be notified that you have been fined for such and such amount because of jaywalking, and the money has been taken away from your account.
Wow.
Yep, that's the dystopia I'm talking about. So
Okay.
you completely would lose your
Any rights to defend yourself.
yes. So, and
Okay.
that's the kind of the most worrying end game there. But how it would affect the financial system? Well, yeah, that's a it's
You know what I find ironic, and I'd like your viewpoint on it.
yeah,
Well, we have to say that when Mario was president of the ECB and he said that he would do whatever it takes and took the euro down from about $1.50 and round numbers down to $1,
mhm,
he was successful. He did just by that. Definitely was a boost for Europe, taking the euro down, beggar thy neighbor.
mhm.
Wouldn't it be ironic that he's involved at the helm in Italy when should Italy implode, when he was so successful? And probably a lot of people are going to translate his success at the ECB to him being able to have success with whatever he's trying to achieve in with that coalition in Italy.
Yeah,
And I think it'd be pretty ironic if he's a poster boy for both doing whatever he can and being successful for years, and then being the poster boy for the euro imploding
yep.
because of Italy and what he's trying to do. What do you think?
Well, the thing is that he have managed to build this kind of a rainbow government just because other European countries, us, are giving them free money. But this is just an assumption. The recovery fund of the European Union is not ratified yet. So if it
Right.
fails, it's very likely that the government of Italy will fail too. And if it fails, then they're quite close of leaving the euro. And this could be a trigger. Let's say we have a
When is that vote? In May?
it's in Finland. It's in early May.
Okay.
So and here it's critical here because it's really close. There's a huge resistance among Finnish people against it, and politicians are slowly turning. So it may fail here. And just assume you are a banker. Let's say you're a Swiss banker, and then you find out, okay, the fund fails, and the political line of ramifications start in Italy, and then you start to think, would I like to borrow a lend to Italian banks when if they leave the euro, all the debt will be like redominated with the let's say 40 or 50% loss, and
Yeah.
you will not do that. And then at that point, a banking crisis may start because the interbank markets will froze. And this is
Okay.
all that is needed. And then the European banking sector implodes. So that's the real big black swan here, which people are not really understanding.
Yeah, this is the one that when we first started talking to each other, you thought could be the trigger, the fuse to
Yes.
light it.
And
I also read in this piece that
yeah,
you sent, went over quickly, Tomas, that it could be something that happens like a quick spike in inflation, food inflation.
yeah,
I mean, the grains have been exploding, and that if we had some rapid inflation and the Fed responded and was so heavily leveraged,
yeah.
that could be it. And you also included the potential for social unrest and possibly people questioning the mental competency of President Biden.
Yep. Those
So, so,
yeah.
so
So
how
there's
would
also,
that
but
how would that go down?
let me tell you this about the European banking sector because not many know that.
Okay.
But in September last year, it was about mid-September, we got information that a major bank in Europe, in Central Europe, had declined of all banking collateral in the interbank markets. And this lasted for 2 to 3 days, but it scared shitless some of the traders because they understood that if that happens, the interbank market freezes, and then you have
Yeah.
a banking crisis because the weak banks will start failing. And this lasted about 2 to 3 days, and then the big bank just said, okay, we're fine with this again. And this is purely inside information, but it told us it showed everyone that the risk relating to the breakup of the eurozone are real, and if they manifest even in the smallest level, it may ignite the European banking crisis. So we came really close of that ignition point last September, and if the fund fails in May, it may start like this all
The
over again.
domino.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts like really quickly, and this is the thing that this is just this blog is just we published today, but this is something we try to warn the investors that there are these massive hidden events that if they come to light or start happening, they will lead to massive kind of unraveling of the highly leveraged financial system within a matter of weeks. So that's and the thing is that we don't know how well central banks would be able to respond to this. So this is a major risk. This is a major risk because central banks don't have access in Europe, especially. They don't have access in the interbank markets. They can just support the banks, but they cannot provide
So
any funding on the interbank markets.
so is that dissimilar from the U.S.?
Yeah, a bit because you have the repo markets.
Yeah, and there's problems there from some
Yeah,
people I've talked to
yeah, there
that
are
still
problems.
exist that started last fall
Yep.
as well, and I've heard that it's been ameliorated, but it's still out there that there's still it's still not functioning correctly. Is that correct too?
And now when the rates rose,
Oh
it,
yeah,
yeah, it created them kind of bigger problems there, because then you would have the kind of the specials rate, which is a rate which you use to lend against the collateral and the repo market. It can go to zero or even below, and you don't lend anything with zero rates, so it freezes the market. So that's one possibility what could happen. And the thing is that if you look at the junk bond rates, they are at the lowest points. They're the lowest point in history. Doesn't make any freaking sense.
well, at
Lowest.
least back to the 1800s anyway.
What?
At least the rates are as low as they were here in the U.S. back to the Civil War in the mid
Yeah, something like that.
1800s.
Yeah, but anyway,
yeah, yeah,
beyond the borders of the modern like financial system.
yeah.
So
Okay.
these are the things. There's really like we call it the ticking time bomb called the Eurozone. Just what we talked about. Then there's also the tremors in the U.S. political system, like you have the several states pushing against the policies administered by the President Biden. And then there's, we don't, and the health of the president. I don't know. These are all like, these are small issues which are building under the surface. And if the U.S. states start to rebel against the federal government, what will happen? So these are like they're massive, like small issues hidden in the like below the unnatural surface of calm.
Yeah. So it's like having a stove, and you're preparing a complicated, great meal. You have a lot of things simmering and boiling and bubbling on the stove, and you have more than one burner. You have at least 4 to 6 burners here. Okay, so one of our guests here today, Sansi, just posted something about Germany damaging European economy by raising German wages. What do you think of that?
Well, that's I don't know how would that hurt.
It's in the Guardian.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what one of our attendees just posted here. So central bankers, it's all going to be the response, right? They still have bullets.
Well, they have bullets, if some bullets at least, if the inflation doesn't like break up, which is if you look at the inflation expectations and like some of the input prices, they are rising really fast. So I would be really surprised if we wouldn't see some kind of inflation shock within the next few months. It's just there's a lot of pressures building. So I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. So. And if there would
so what I mean, I know you've believer in holding things with intrinsic value, but do you think the pound would benefit from this? Because I trade euro pound, and the euro pound had a nice recovery last week, pretty big recovery, where the pound was under pressure. What's your view on cable into a crisis like this? Is it going to be receive some flows from flight to safety, or will it all go to the U.S. dollar?
That's a very good question. I think if the banking crisis engulfs the European continent, the pound could possibly benefit, but it all depends on how well the UK banks fare it, and I'm not really sure about that. So I think it might start with the assets fleeing to the US once again.
Okay. Do you think gold? We had this big move, Thomas, and the gold silver ratio. At the peak, you could have turned in 1 ounce of gold and gotten 100 pieces of silver, and now you could get about 68, 70. In an environment like this, is it going to be more of the monetary metal outperforming gold, outperforming silver? Is that your view?
No, we don't. That's the kind of the gold and silver market it's in a really strange place. The forces we don't actually know what's happening there. You hear rumors of the some strange buying in the silver, and I don't know. We haven't really had time to look into that now, but there seems to be something strange happening there also.
What and gold at these levels held 1680 basically in round numbers, 1675 down from its recent high. You like these levels, or could there be some type of what people aren't thinking about? Another with everyone's head turned towards inflation, could we have another deflationary shock with a black swan?
We could definitely, but I think what I worry the most is that we have kind of this big inflation shock with the declining growth, so it would be a stagflation shock, and in that case, I would see the gold skyrocketing.
And the market, and the market's being okay as a hedge of inflation, but commodity stocks outperforming the general market, or a stock market crash.
Yeah, well, this is the thing that with the system is so highly leveraged, so it's like any hint of faster inflation could spell the end of the whole thing, because the central banks would be needed to force to raise rates. So usually you would have thought that stock markets, it's a good place to hide for inflation, because it tends to rise faster. But in this case, if the rates have to go up, the leverage will have to be, there's going to be massive margin calls, which we already saw with the forget the name of the fund that failed.
Bill Huang.
Yeah.
Archipo or something.
Yeah. And so we saw kind of a small tasting what will come. So with the inflation coming, rates rising, I would see the stock markets hurting quite badly. So we are in a strange world now. I don't think this will follow the same logic as before when it comes to crisis, because the system is so leveraged, so speculative, so fed with the money from the central banks.
What are you doing with your money, Thomas?
Keeping the golden in this firm.
Okay. You're in gold and investing in your business.
Yeah, basically. That's because I don't really see other reasonable options at the moment.
Okay. No cash?
Cash, yeah. Of course, naturally cash too.
Okay, and denominated in what? Euro?
Euro here. Well, I'm keeping them in Finland for now.
Okay, but in euro, right?
In euro, yeah, as long as we have the euro.
Okay, well, if you feel this way about the euro, isn't it possible from Finland to, have your cash sitting in a different fiat?
Yeah, it could. I think the US dollar would be a good choice, but it's also. But the thing is, I worry about what the Fed is doing. I worry. So when the crisis is over, will the US have been able to keep the US dollar? Will it be able to have kept the reserve status? I don't know.
Yeah. Because so we're living in the twilight zone.
Yeah, we are, and everybody thinks that it's things are okay, but they are not.
Well, all right. Well, here, how do you respond to Forex Gal? I'm going to read it because she keeps typing it. Yep. Fed in control, no worries. What do you say to that?
They are not in control. They pretend they are in control. But if there is inflation, if there's unexpected shocks to the financial system, we don't know. We don't know how well they are able to respond. The thing is that if you talk to central bank analysts, they all say that the central banks will not nationalize or socialize the capital markets. That's what they all are saying. They say that there is a limit. We just don't know where the limit is, but there definitely is a limit. That's how we think. And if inflation comes, then there's nothing they can do. So this is a like I said, and these could be sudden movements. So we're talking now. What happens now? We don't know. Well, let's see if the April brings something interesting. But we will see. We are expecting the problems to grow all through the year.
It's amazing that Finland, what they need, like a completely unanimous vote by all the EU members for this thing to pass. Yeah, and Finland is the last one to vote.
Well, I'm not sure with the last one because there was a delay in
So why are you? Everyone else has voted for it so far, right? And it's coming to Finland. Are you organizing a movement to reject it?
I have been.
Okay, so is the political environment in Finland, I'm not familiar with it, kind of anti-Euro. So it's kind of amazing that one country could dash the hopes of the fund, but that's the way it's coming down. It's kind of like the U.S. where Georgia was important. You're Georgia in Europe, right?
Well, we hope to be, because the thing,
Okay.
well, the thing is that what people don't understand, that the fund is actually opens the door. It kind of it trashes the treaties, the European treaties, the economic treaties, and so that they don't exist anymore. So we would move in the state of unlawfulness here. And we cannot allow that to happen in Europe. We know what happens if Europe goes to kind of an anarchistic way. We've got the war again.
Yeah, we've been there before a
Yeah.
couple times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So this is a bad idea in any case. The euro is already a failed currency. They're just trying to keep it up by any means.
Let me ask you this. All of these black swans are pretty much financial, aren't they?
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
for, maybe, what happens with social unrest and things like that.
Yeah, and there's,
But, aren't there a lot of isn't there a lot of geo risk? I mean, I saw pictures of Russian tanks on rails, huge numbers going into the Ukraine. Biden acting hawkish towards Russia and China. Could that be the black swan, some type of geo event?
we just don't forecast wars.
Okay.
But yeah, surely.
And that he's going to respond to the hacking by Russia. And, it seems like the new Cold War has been on with China during the previous administration and wasn't with Russia because of, former President Trump's view on Russia. But Joe Biden's sure talking like a hawk.
Yeah, he is, which is interesting. But let's see how it plays out. But the thing is that the European central security situation is not good either. So Russia is they're always playing they're the opportunistic country because they're not an actual superpower anymore, but they will act when they see a window opening. So these things could happen, and so often in history, if there's been a bigger political or economic crisis, the war has been the answer of many politicians to it.
Yeah, one of my friends says that most major wars start in July. Guy who does all these different cycle things.
Okay, yeah, that could be. So let's hope not, but we don't know. And the thing is that everything is it's a mess. It's a political, financial, economic mess. If you look below the surface, basically. Everywhere. So we are in this massive soup, as you said, basically, and we don't know where when the boiling point is reached in all this, like cattle. So that's what we have been trying to warn all through the spring, that there is something coming. We just don't know exactly what it is yet.
Okay. So caution as potentially, one thing that has me thinking that there could be something like this is that, how price is everything. S&Ps are reaching some price objectives of guys that made a call for 4,200 many years ago. And we're there, and even the bulls are starting to turn cautious on the market here. So I think we're close in both price and time to pretty severe correction. And
there is, and let me say this: I just saw just before we began, I tweeted a message or a comment from Chair Powell saying that there's a slim chance of a repetition of the 2008 financial crisis. You don't
the 2008?
Yeah. Slim chance. You never ever say such
that.
things. as a central bank. And so that's a huge red flag for me that there's something seriously wrong or brewing into the U.S. financial system too.
Yeah, he's starting to hedge himself. You know, he only has a year left, I believe, on his term.
That's true. Yeah.
So he could be the perfect scapegoat if anything happens here in 2021, and then replace him.
A good point.
Okay. So anyway, again, I love batting around the Armageddon ball with you, Tuomas, and you know, and it's interesting. Your writings are great, and I recommend people follow you, go to you. As Tuomas's Twitter handle is at MT Malinen, and to go to his website and keep in touch with which way these swans are flying and whether they're white or they're black. It sounds like you know, we're kind of having another social issue conversation, but pay attention to this vote in early May. And Tuomas, by the time you and I talk again, you know, we could be living in a different world.
Yeah, that's exactly what everyone has to be prepared to.
So rooting for your safety and to thrive even in a crisis.
Yeah, and be prepared for everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being with us today. Bro, you're my bro from Finland, and appreciate you sharing your research with us. And it's kind of interesting. We were talking about this as a future event, and kind of feels like we're near the doorstep. So I appreciate your work, Tuomas. Thank you very much for sharing it today with us here at F.A.C.E.
Thanks.
Okay, that's a wrap for us, everyone. Remember, don't just count your black swans, count your blessings, and that you're going to have the foresight to be prepared for everything and anything. And that's a wrap. We'll see everyone for Turnaround Tuesday. Good hunting. Don't forget to join the team for the Morning Edge with Blake going over the bias chart and the rest of the team chiming in with their work. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. You're very welcome, Forex Gal and Galaxy and Monica. And glad you enjoyed the interview with Tuomas. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios.